you are inclined, please turn on your cameras. If not, that's fine too. Again, thank you for joining us. I want to start by going over our agenda for today. We'll start with some introductions, and then we have some current updates, so things that are relevant for you right now. We will take a few moments to talk about and have you complete our survey. Then we'll go into some hot topics, and that will be followed by regional breakout rooms where you will get an opportunity to chat with folks from your area, from your region. We will end with some questions and answers and then talk about our upcoming events. So one of the things that I would like you to do before we get into introductions is talk about our Zoom etiquette. So we're hoping and asking that everyone keep themselves muted. If you have any questions, you can put those into the chat. But again, we will be having a Q&A at the end. We are obviously recording the session. Only the main session will be recorded, not the breakout rooms. Also, we are asking so that we can develop our breakout rooms that you rename yourself. So if you look at my name, I have the letter N in front of it, and that is because I am from the north. I'm an authorizer from the north part of the state, so N is for Northern Authorizer. If you are an authorizer from the central part of the state, you will put C in front of your name. And if you are an authorizer from the southern part of the state, you'll put an S in front of your name. And folks who are joining us who are not authorizers, but rather partners of authorizers, so that would be charter schools or organizations that support charter schools, you will put a P in front of your name for partner. So P for partners, N for northern authorizers, C for central authorizers, and S for southern authorizers. Okay, having done that, I'm going to introduce the team, and then I'll have you introduce yourselves. So I'm Mifala Fairley. I am the director of the Charter Schools Department here at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. We are joined this morning by my other team members, Michelle Johnson, Dr. Michelle Johnson, who is the associate director. We also have Dr. Julia Geary, who's an administrator. We have Shalu Sharma, fiscal administrator, and Cynthia Tapia, also a fiscal administrator. And in addition to that, we have Allison Ball, representing the California Department of Education. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Tom before I ask you to introduce yourselves. He is going to introduce our CASI partners.
Yeah, so first from the CCAP end, I'm Tom Hutton. I'm CCAP's executive director, and on the call with us as well are Dr. David Patterson, who's president of CCAP's board and also sits on the Placer County Board of Education, and has a, for those of you in the charter space, has a resume a mile long when it comes to chartering in California. And our treasurer, Debbie Deal, also is with us. Debbie is a retired forensic auditor with FCMAT and has done lots of work with CBOs around the state with different districts and such. I also wanted to just give a quick shout out. As you know, if you've been reading our CASI materials, we are partnering with some regional partners in the county offices of education to try to regionalize this and localize this effort a little bit. And on the call today, I think we have Joe Hendricks from Sutter County, Neil McChesney from Contra Costa County, Nate Fairchild from Shasta County, Indra Ciccarelli from Laco. We're not able to be joined today by Corey Loomis from Riverside, Janice Kwan from El Dorado, she's with the SELPA, and Stacy Adler from Mono County, but they're also regional partners. And just as a shout out or as a spread the word plea, we are always welcoming of more county offices of education who'd like to be in that kind of regional mode to help us out. But we will reach the whole state, not just those, not just authorizers in those counties. Also joining us on the call I saw is Michelle Giacomini from FCMAT, who is also another of our strategic partners on this effort. We were Justin Cunningham from SSDA was going to try to make it, but wasn't quite sure he could. I didn't see his name yet, but SSDA is also a thought partner with us on this effort, because a lot of the focus is on making sure that we connect to our smaller and rural authorizers. And
so I just saw in the chat, and someone has already answered, the materials, the slides, and a resource page with all of our speaker notes will be sent out to everyone who attended today, as well as posted on the CASI website. So you will have access to the slides as well as our speaker notes. So I would now ask you to introduce yourselves. We can see your names. So could you drop into the chat where you're from and one thing you with which you are struggling that's related to charter schools, or a question that you have about charter schools, or something you want to learn more about in terms of charter schools. Take a moment to do that. Thanks, Neil. Struggling with not having enough time. Ooh, that's a theme. No struggles. Fantastic. Kathy, I'd like to take your place. Okay, folks are looking for up-to-date information. We've got some of that for you today. Supporting transition staff and replacing you. Oh, okay, Barbara. I don't know if people can replace you. I need to meet you folks who are not having a struggle. I must be doing something wrong. Okay, great. So I think that we will meet some of your needs, and we'll save this chat so that we can incorporate some of your concerns and questions into our next hot topics. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Michelle now to take us through some current updates.
So I'm going to give you some quick updates. The first is, what is CASI? CASI stands for the Charter Authorizer Support Initiative. And even though we're just still getting started, we held our statewide informational meeting and our first Authorizer and Oversight 101 at the Small School Districts Association conference just at the beginning of this month. And we will be having our regional hub meetings starting in April. So some new legislation that is coming up at this moment is AB 2774. This bill looks at reconfiguring the local control funding formula and unduplicated count scenario. Currently, students who qualify for free and reduced price lunches, English learners, homeless, and foster are included in the unduplicated counts for supplemental and concentration funds. But if AB 2774 is approved, students in the lowest academic performance category, or the red category on the California Schools dashboard for both English language arts and math, would also be identified for additional funding. As I said, this is a bill that is starting its process through the legislature. And so it hasn't been enacted yet, but it's something that we want to keep an eye on. The next bill is AB 2484. This bill holds that if a charter school closes and has used state facility money for its building, then depending on how much state money was used for the facility, either the facility will be given back to the district in fee simple, meaning they just own it outright, or the charter school has to pay back the facility funds. But as I said, these are two bills that are still just going through the legislature. If you're interested in learning how to follow a bill, when we send out our resource page, there will be links on how to follow bills, and it will give you step-by-step directions on how to do that process. So I am now going to turn this over to Tom.
And next up, we have, if you will indulge us, if we could get the next slide up here. I'm going to ask for your empathy as a whole room full of educators and meeting organizers, because what you don't want to do in a lesson plan or a meeting or anything like that is to do anything that lowers the energy level right at the beginning. But we're really going to beg your indulgence here, because it's critically important for Cassie as we get started that we will look at the chat where you already contributed some thoughts about what's going on in your world, but we have a short survey where we'd like to just get a read from authorizers around the state, not just from those who are here, but as we were talking about it, everybody who's done surveys has struggled mightily. We know you're all super busy, and we all make great, we resolve, okay, yes, I'll get to that survey later, and then it doesn't happen. So we thought, let's just take a minute at the beginning of our meeting when people are here and get them on the survey right now, so we can get a good read, a sense of what are the priority topics, where and how Cassie can support you with your needs. And let's get whoever's on the meeting now to take a minute to do that. You'll be seeing this on the listserv, and we'll give other opportunities for it. But for those of you who are on right now, if we could just take, we've got 10 minutes allotted to just go in there and share with us your world, that will really help inform Cassie's efforts going forward.
Can you drop the link for us?
Yep, there it is. In the chat is the link.
Thank you so much for indulging us in that and for taking the time to complete our survey. We're going to use that information to serve you as best we can. So before I go on to talk about what we're going to do next, I just want to remind you that if you joined late or haven't had a chance to, we'd like you to rename yourself. And Allison, could you drop that reminder in the chat again? So if you're in the northern part of the state, you're going to put an N in front of your name. If you're in the central part of the state, you're going to put a C. And if you are in the southern part, put an S. If you are a charter authorizer partner, then you're going to put a P in front of your name. All right, so on the next few slides, we're going to go over some hopefully just-in-time information related to program oversight and fiscal oversight. After the presentation, like I said earlier, we're going to be sending out the slides and a resource that has all of our talking points so that you can have that for reference. So, Julie, I think you're up first.
Good morning. I will be presenting the first three of our program hot topics for today. First, we have Form 700s. These must be updated by April 1st every year. If you have not yet requested this document from your schools, now would be a good time. Second, comprehensive school safety plans. Per California Education Code 47605, comprehensive school safety plans must be updated annually by March 1st. Just like district plans, charter school plans must contain components covered in Education Code 32280 through 32289.5. We'll be sending that information to you. The slide includes the link with the CDE website where you can find more information. There is also a compliance tool for school safety plans. One of the biggest challenges that we have found with school safety plans is that the charter school will have the required components, but they will be located in different places or in different documents. Also, frequently the school will not have the plan reviewed by parents or law enforcement, which is something authorizers should be aware of. The third item is the LCAP process. The LCAP template has changed this year. All LEAs were to have completed the mid-year supplemental review by February 28th and share this information with their governing boards. The board did not need to approve the report, but it will be included in the final LCAP to be approved in June. While authorizers do not approve charter schools LCAPs, they are responsible for reviewing it. Some things to watch for include following the template, including all required components in one document in the correct order, and posting the approved document on the school's website. I'll turn it over to Michelle.
So thanks, Julie. I'm going to cover the next three items. So the first one is the Williams Act. Charter schools are now eligible for review under the Williams Act. If a charter school has been identified as a comprehensive support and improvement school or an additional targeted support and improvement school, meaning CSI, ATSI, they will be subject to Williams review. For those of you who don't know, Williams was based on a lawsuit that happened in 2000, 2000. Charter schools who also happen to have 15% or more of their teachers who do not possess a valid or clear credential or preliminary teaching credential will also be identified for Williams review. While you as an authorizer may not need to perform the Williams review because that falls on the county offices, you should still be aware of which of your charters will be reviewed. Williams reviews cover sufficiency of instructional materials, credential reviews, facility reviews, and ensuring that the uniform complaint notifications are in every classroom. On the resource page that we're going to be sending out, it will include links to a recent letter from the California Department of Education regarding Williams monitoring, and also to the CDE Charter Department page, which has further clarification in their frequently asked questions regarding charter schools and the Williams Act. So the next item that we're going to talk about is differentiated assistance. Authorizers and county offices are required to provide differentiated assistance, or DA, to struggling charter schools. This will be a fine line process when it comes to oversight and monitoring and renewal or revocation of a school. On one hand, the authorizer is giving guidance and support to for the school to improve. However, on the other hand, if the school does not improve and the decision is to revoke or not renew, the charter school may or will simply state that we were relying on guidance from the authorizer on how to improve. So you really want to make sure that you look at how you're providing differentiated assistance. The last item on the program side is annual visit and reports. Every year, the authorizer must visit the charter school at least once, per Education Code 47604.1. During this visit, authorizers review the operations of the school, the fiscal viability, meet with education partners, namely parents, teachers, students, staff, and they review the governance of the school, review compliance documentation, and the best practice is to provide a report to the governing board of the charter school on the findings. CCAP has created an annual visit toolbox, and SCCOE has some annual visit resources. And these resources will be attached as part of the document slide. And we will also be covering this topic in the regional hub meeting coming in April. So next slide, we're going to pass it off to Shalou and Cynthia for the fiscal.
Michelle, there's a couple of questions.
Sure.
About DA and about Williams. So some of the charters do not feel that the 15% requirement is accurate. Do you have details on when or how the list of 15% misassignments was determined?
So the list was actually created by the California Department of Education and by the superintendent. They went through the process of looking at CalSAS and creating that list. And there's actually a list of schools and how they ended up on the Williams list, and looking at, and it may not be your current CalSAS information, but I don't have that information as to how they put it together. That would be a conversation for you and for the CDE.
So I'm looking at the list right now, and it says that the percentage of teachers, the misassignments that were used is from reporting year 2022. That's on the list. And I think we're providing a link to the list as well in our resources.
We are.
So you can take a look at that.
I know.
And then the second question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know, my staff at LACO has been working on the Williams a bunch. And when I talked with them, their understanding was that it really was for that 15%, it really was just a straight, how many teachers does the school have? How many of them are credentialed? Get your percentage, and that they weren't really looking necessarily at the actual misassignments within the CalSAS report. It really was just a straight sort of how many teachers do you have and how many teachers are fully credentialed?
Fully credentialed, not, so they can't be preliminary.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Indra.
I think they including preliminary and clear as the ones that are in the that are okay. So it's the number of preliminary and clear divided by the total number.
Is DA done by the district or the COE, or is this negotiated? Michelle.
So the law says the authorizer. And I know that that is, when it was first written, it was by the authorizer, but it's shifting to the county office. So there is still questions that are out there, and I know that things are changing as we speak, but it is being shifted to the county office.
One more question. Regarding annual site visit, if we presented the feedback to the charter school leaders of the site, is that compliant?
Well, annual reports are not required by law. It is simply a site visit. Best practice is to provide that information to both the site leaders and to the board, as the board is the one who authorized the charter school.
All right. Thank you. We're turning it over to who?
I am next. And now to highlight some conversation topics happening in the fiscal oversight at this time. The second interim financial report for Education Code Section 47604.33. By March 15 of each year, charter schools are required to submit a second interim financial report to their authorizers and their county superintendent of schools, or only the county superintendent of schools if they are the chartering authority. The second interim reports should reflect changes through January 31st. And while charter schools are not required to utilize SACs, authorizers can request this information using an internal template. One of the most widely used second interim report templates looks like the charter school's alternative form that is used to report their unaudited actuals. The second interim does not need to be approved by the charter school board unless it is required by the charter school's MOU. Best practice as an authorizer is to review the submitted second interim reports and follow up with any questions and/or provide feedback to the charter schools as needed. Second topic, and like the program hot topics, the LCAP process is also a hot topic in fiscal oversight. While the LCAP has been known as a program compliance item, it is a document that should closely be connected to the budget. The LCAP goals should drive the budget, not the other way around. Make sure your program and fiscal teams are communicating with each other when they are reviewing both documents. While reviewing, keep in mind that the budget overview for parents should match the adopted budget numbers. Now passing it along to my colleague, Shalou.
Thank you, Cynthia. So another hot topic that probably most of the charter schools are currently working on is the annual budget. Just like district, charter schools must complete and approve their annual budget. Per Education Code 47604.33, charter schools are required to submit their board-approved annual budget by July 1st of each year. Another topic we're going to discuss is Form 990. The charter schools should be in the process of completing their tax year 2020 returns at this time, and this is due by May 15. Moving on to auditor selection form. Per Education Code Section 411020, the governing board of each charter school shall provide for an audit of the books and account of each school. In the event the governing board of the local agency has not provided the audit of books and account of the LEA by April 1st, pursuant to Education Code 41020B3, the county superintendent of schools shall provide the audit, and the cost of the audit shall be chargeable to the LEAs. Also attached in the resource page that Michelle and Mifla talked about earlier, there would be a sample form that SCCOE used to send it to their charters, and basically that's the information that we look for them to send it back. And actually, yesterday was the last day for them to submit that form to us, and now we are sending it to our business department to have it all uploaded on our website. Over to you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Shalou. And another topic, A through G completion improvement grant. LEAs with 2021 and duplicated pupil counts in grades 9 through 12 are eligible for this non-competitive grant. to improve their A through G completion rate. An LEA that otherwise was eligible and is receiving concentration funding as of 2021 fiscal year P2 shall receive a total allocation of no less than $75,000. Education Code Section 41590 specifies that LEAs must develop their plans by April 1st. An important clarification is that the law does not require governing boards of LEAs to discuss and then subsequently adopt their plans by April 1st, but instead requires that plans be developed by each LEA on or before that date. Furthermore, Education Code Section 41590 does not require LEAs to submit their plans to any local or state agency. Shalu?
Sure. So moving on to FCMAT signs of fiscal distress for charter schools. And please, Debbie or Michelle, jump in if you think there is something that I missed or something that needs more to be talked on. So this FCMAT document for charter school risk indicator or risk potential insolvency is shared also on the resource page that will be shared with all the members. So this document look at the 15 areas and sign of fiscal distress, which are the indicators authorizers should watch regarding the fiscal health of the charter school. Most of the charter schools fail, probably mostly because of the fiscal reason. And some of the areas that the authorizer need to be mindful for includes the underlevel budget development, insufficient budget monitoring, inadequate cash management, mismanagement salaries and benefit decisions, increasing or unplanned contribution, a big one for most of the schools, and continued deficit spending. Again, and this resource, this document would be shared in the resource page that would be shared with the slides. I think next is Julie. Over to you, Julie.
Actually, let me just chime in. This is Tom. Just to say, so I'm skipping ahead a little bit. We're going to be talking about the regional quarterly meetings that we're going to be having. And one of those meetings, we think a good candidate for a deeper dive and a training is the signs of fiscal distress. The topic coming up in April, as Michelle mentioned, is annual reports, but we want the regional groups to sort of, and from our survey results, to kind of identify topics that are most important to all of you. But we think a candidate could be this one. And I just want to mention that because we thought about maybe that'll be the second quarterly meeting, if that's what the regions kind of like. And thanks to Michelle and her colleagues at FCMAT for producing what is we didn't want to wait to get this resource in front of you, even though we don't have time to do a training on it today, just because it's a really good short resource that kind of that lays out some of the things that you can be looking for. So in the meantime, we just wanted to get it out.
We are going to jump over to Julie to get us into breakout rooms where we can talk about whatever the group needs to talk about. But I think there was something, Scott was asking if there is a resource or calendar of all the required documents for oversight. And we do have something that we'll share with you, but if anyone else has a calendar of when they're asking for documents to be submitted from their charter schools, let us know, and we can, and if you're willing to share, let us know. Give us a copy and we'll share that with everyone or post it on our website, on the CASI website. Okay, Julie.
All right, so we will be moving into the previously mentioned breakout rooms. The purpose of the breakout sessions is to provide an opportunity to identify regional needs and additional hot topic focus areas. The breakout sessions will not be recorded. We are only recording the main room. So when you open the Jamboard, the link will be shared in the chat. The directions are on slide 1, but I'll go ahead and give a brief overview of the directions. So as a group, each region will list the oversight topics plaguing your district or organization. Then as a region, please rank the topics. Finally, please add information on the best time and place for quarterly regional meetings within your region. So as you transition into the breakout rooms, please make sure that you have the Jamboard link open and you will go to the slide that matches your breakout room's regional location and add the requested information. So if we could please open the breakout room.
Thanks everyone for participating in the breakout groups. In our group, we started off doing the assignment and then we decided we should probably do introductions. And so that took most of our time. Michelle, is there anything you want to say about the breakout activity that we just did? We can't hear you. You're on mute.
I'm just really happy of how we were able to use the Jamboard. I did hear from a couple of people saying there's too many people on the Jamboard, but we'll make sure that we have that fixed for going forward. But I think we got a lot of really good information. In our room, we had questions around Williams and questions come up around like best practices and how do we know what best practices are. So Julie, do you have anything from your room?
We just had a really great conversation around what types of support might be needed. And we discussed, continuing just to drop ideas that arise as we're talking into the sticky notes.
Awesome.
And in our group, we talked about continuing to develop relationships with charters, even though they have a 2-year extension, making sure that we're conducting the annual site visits and getting support around doing those site visits in a more organized way, and then also providing annual reports. That's just a few of the things that we talked about.
And the other thing I
Allison?
would add, Mifla, is that we also saw people already connecting with each other. Oh, somebody's got this and somebody made a note on that. So all that I think was really great.
Great, thank you. Okay, so in the link, in just a few moments, when Amy drops it in, you will find, next slide, please. You will find a short survey to give us feedback on today's session. So what we're, again, looking for is feedback on today, and then hot topics for our next charter chat, which will be, next slide, please, on April 27th, Wednesday, April 27th at 10 o'clock. So the link is now in the chat. You can go ahead and take about 2 minutes to fill out the 4 questions. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and talk about our upcoming events. So the next charter chat, the second meeting like this will be on April 27th. We will also have our first regional hub meeting. So the folks that you were in the breakout room with today are folks that are in your region. And so we will have a hybrid meeting. If you're interested in meeting in person, we'll be at the Sutter County Office of Ed. Otherwise, please join us via Zoom. That first meeting, depending on where you are located. If you're in the northern region, that meeting's on April 19th at Sutter County Office of Ed. If you're in the central region, it'll be on April 13th at Contra Costa County Office of Ed. And if you're in the southern region, join us on April 19th at Riverside County Office of Ed. Additionally, Cassie will be at the CCAP Charter School Authorizer Conference. We'll have a pre-conference session on June 22nd and then a breakout session on June 23rd through 24th, somewhere in there. And the conference will take place in Costa Mesa. Tom, did you want to say anything more about the Authorizer Conference?
Just that it's going to be a great program. The pre-conference that Cassie is doing is going to be kind of a day-long welcome to charter authorizing. So if you have colleagues on your teams or other folks you know who are new to this world and trying to get their handle on the basics, we're going to really give them a great overview of the world. And that, by the way, will equip them if they can do that. If they just want to do that and not the rest of the conference, that's okay. But it will equip them with the kind of the base knowledge to take advantage of the deeper dives that we'll be having in the breakouts for the rest of the conference. So we're really looking forward to that. We have not had an authorizer conference for a while because nobody's had conferences for a while. But it's very exciting to be able to get together in person again.
So we were going to do Q&A. I think some of us might be able to stay on after if you have a question. We are at 11 o'clock. I encourage you to contact us. Next slide, please. At Cassie casi@cde.ca.gov. We will be posting on the CASI website the slides and resources from today. And we will be sending them out to all the folks who joined us today. Again, thank you for taking the time to come out. If you have a question and you want to stay on, I think some of us can stay to answer questions. If not, have a great day. Thanks.